Hi YouTube, it's me, Bryn Chan. Yes, I am back from Houston. No, I haven't posted everything from Houston onto my channel. It will get done. I promise. I promised before, so I will keep my word and I will put it on there. If you see the things have, it looks like a tornado went through here, but yes. No, because I got back from Houston literally like last week and I still have not unpacked. I mean, they made it in the wash, but the suitcase has not made it up. So, no, I wanted to hop on here because there's a story I wanted to say or tell you on here on the channel because I finally opened up onto my Facebook. And if you guys have gone from here to my Facebook, then you know. But, because I have put all my socials in the description on every video. That way you guys can get there, check it out, see what's happening. I post a lot more on my Facebook than I do probably anywhere else. Call me old if you... I'm sorry, this lipstick it's throwing me off. 1 second. Let me see if I can fix this. Let's see if I can find it. It's just one side. Is like lower than the other. Okay, it looks better. That was really annoying. Okay. Here we are. We're back. So, I recently opened up on this topic on my Facebook, and it's one topic that I don't talk about a lot, and I feel like it needs to be talked about more. And it's one of those topics that I posted on Facebook, and it was, I don't really know if anyone's actually going to take the time to read this, and I don't know if it's actually going to, like, connect with anyone other than myself, and I don't know if people are going to be like, well, why are you talking about all of this on your page? But it was something that really needs to be said, and I know I talk about my relationship with my ex quite a bit, but there's something that I don't talk about with that, and that is the topic of suicide. And so I'm gonna have to figure out how YouTube's guidelines are with that, but because we talk about we're talking about suicide today, and I know YouTube has like an issue, so I have dealt with suicidal thoughts since I was a teenager. When I was a teen, I really had those thoughts. But then when I graduated high school and I was out on my own, I really tried really hard, not to think like that. I was like, this is a new leaf I'm turning over. I'm on my own, you know. And the decisions I've made, the decision I made during that time was not the best of decisions. They've led me down rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole and got me into some pretty sticky situations. I got pretty damn close to prostitution as you could probably get without the sex involved and money exchange. Yeah. So pretty damn close, and I try not to cuss too much on this channel, and I try not to talk about those kind of topics, but you know, this is me, this is who I used to be, this is a part of me that I can't just erase, you know, and it might connect with somebody somewhere, I don't know, but yeah, I got... And those decisions all affected where I went ultimately led me to the decision to be in that relationship that I was in, that I thought was amazing at first, because let's face it, he was really, really good at hiding his true face until we, were in a longer term relationship and he had me away from family and friends. So, but yeah, so when I was 19, I, was basically kicked out and sleeping on a friend's couch, well, in their spare room. Until ultimately got kicked out of there too, because their grandmother was moving in, and they didn't really give me too much of a notice. So I ended up being homeless for a time, and that's where the prostitution thing really leads in, because when I was living with my friend, I ended up dating this guy, and he kind of was like, I don't want anything to do with you. And so we broke up. It was an on again, off again relationship, and we were broken up when I became homeless and everything. And his friend is really the one who was letting me stay with him off and on, just because, like I said, as close to prostitution as you can get without all the, getting naked and having sex. I mean, and without money exchanged, I just need somewhere to stay that wasn't on the street. And he got pretty upset with me. Though, if you're watching, you can't really be upset with somebody that you're not with anymore. So there's that. So those decisions really affected my next decision, which was to date somebody who, let's face it, I probably shouldn't have been dating to begin with. Led to me losing my virginity in a laundromat bathroom, of all places. Um, not the greatest place to lose your virginity. But of course, I mean, I was emotionally unstable at the time, and so that decision then really led me to making more rash decisions because I was homeless. And so I ended up staying with uh, a woman I had met one time at a Walmart. She gave me her number and everything, and I called her up one day, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'll pick you up, I'll move you in, whatever," which was great. She didn't even know me. She just moved me in, and but I mean, she could have been a serial killer, but that's how desperate I was to get off the streets. And me moving into a stranger's home is not new in my life. That's the first, not the last. Um, so I ended up moving in with her and her boyfriend and her son. Her son was 2 at the time. But the thing was they gave me a couple days to rest and really recover. I'm not going to say I recovered like right away, even after those couple days. But they were like, "Hey, look, we just moved you in here when we were wondering, because we were in a polyamorous relationship, if you would like to join us. Sex is a really big thing, if you can tell." And something was like, no, I'm really appreciative that you let me stay here, and I will find a job, but I can't do that. And so that guy and I, we broke up, and They were like, cool, cool, cool. But, finding a job was very difficult because, she had the car and she had to go to work and they lived like 15 minutes outside of town. And so she didn't want to keep driving that far. And so ultimately, what ended up happening was I did a lot of work around the house. Her boyfriend was really appreciative. Actually, he started really comparing me to her. Not cool, dude. Not cool. But like good things to me, like because apparently I did a lot more around the house than she ever did. Like she'd get home, she'd sit down, she'd watch TV, and then like everyone had to go to her beck and call, I guess. Or at least that's how he put it. And so I ended up dating another guy at this time because she worked at a Walmart in town. And so I ended up, going with them one day to the Walmart because they needed to pick up groceries for their house. And so I went with them to go get groceries, and this guy followed us to the house. And I was like very, very confused, and he was unloading groceries, and I was like, okay, I don't know you. They haven't told me anything. So I went in the house. I was like, hey, do you know this random guy who's like getting stuff out of the trunk of the car? And they're like, oh yeah. That's my coworker. And I was like, oh okay. I just wanted to make sure you weren't getting your groceries robbed or something. I don't know, or a psychopath was coming to murder us all in the house. So, he helped bring in all the groceries. He was really nice. He was kind. He was saying all these nice things. He went in to really help them with stuff. He helped with their baby. He did so many things that I was like, this guy is really sweet. I really admire that about him. And so the night it went on, and he stayed for a while. I guess he liked me or something, or thought I was cute or something. So the night progressed, and then we ended up kissing in front of them. I didn't think they were paying attention, but they were. And so what I thought at the time was a growing love story turned into a nightmare later on. But I mean, he was kind, he was nice, he was sweet, he did all these things for me. Like, he would go get out of his way to like buy me stuff if I needed it or wanted it. Matter of fact, he bought me a pregnancy test because I had unprotected, you know. And so his grandparents were not the biggest fans of me. Let's just say that. And they made it known. They made it known real quick. So I had stayed over at his place a couple times, and then there was one night, the girl's boyfriend, he messaged me and was saying like she was going crazy and whatever, and then if I was going to stay out late at night, then I needed to let them know, and all this other stuff, and if I wasn't home the next 5 minutes, they were going to lock the door on me, and I wouldn't be able to go in, all that other stuff. And so I was like, fuck it, screw it. And I looked at him, and I was like, they're threatening to lock me out of the house and everything. And he was like, well, do you want to just move in here? And I was like, sure. Yeah. Fine. Well, we moved in, and it's kind of where our problems started. So he was living with his grandparents at the time, and then I moved in and all that fun stuff. But So our issues kind of started because first his grandparents didn't like me, and it was, about a week or so, like a month or so in, I should say. He cheated on me for the very first time. And something just told me that, he was out, he was doing that, he was cheating, and I had gotten a job at this point in time. And he came back crying, saying, "I'm so sorry." I just had a feeling that he was cheating on me. Like, I had no reason to not trust him, but for some reason, something was telling me that he was cheating. And so he came back. He's like, "I'm so sorry. I've been out with this girl all night. She tried to kiss me or whatever, and I kissed her back, but I deeply regret it. I'm so sorry." He immediately came home and told me, and I was like, "Oh, okay, well, but that relationship between them did not end, and, they were back and forth, on and off again. And to be clear, I took his virginity, and I think that's kind of what sparked an interest in him wanting to seek out other women, because now that he's got a taste of everything, he's like, "Oh, okay, well, now I want to go taste the garden," or whatever. So, I ended up going to Job Corps in 2016. So, him and we got together towards the end of 2015. So, yeah, this sounds like it's been a long time, but it really was not. Because we got together and we moved in pretty quickly after all of that. So, I went to Job Corps in 2016. That's where I met my now husband. We were friends for that time, but the whole time I was in Job Corps, he was just cheating on me on and off, and he was real sketchy about where he was. He didn't really want to talk to me about anything, and at this point, I was just like, what did I do wrong? What am I doing wrong? Like, what did I do to make him cheat on me? And so there was that. I remember there was one day I broke down crying on the couch. I was like, tell me what it is I need to do to fix this, because, like, clearly I've done something wrong. And I'm not going to say our relationship was a bed of roses, because I would, we'd get in arguments and everything, and because, like, he would just do some of the dumbest things, and, or he'd lie to me. That was the biggest thing, was he would lie to me. And, so I ended up finishing Job Corps in September of that year, of 2016. Scott and I, we decided that we were going to be friends, or stay friends, like, at least on Facebook. Yeah, we kind of had a little bit of a flirtatious friendship, but I'm flirtatious with all of my friends. You can ask my old roommate. I called her sexy the other day because she was in the shower. No, I had a little bit of a crush on Scott, and Scott had a kind of a crush on me, and so he'd mess with me all the time. I guess, in hindsight, he did tell me to break up with my ex or my then boyfriend, because I would told him about some of the stuff that was going on. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't remember that, but he says he said that. So, we'll just go with it, I guess. So, and my noodles are probably going to be real soggy by the time I get done with this. So I got done with Job Corps in 2016, and after that, I became a CNA, and that became a whole issue in and of itself, because when I became a CNA, you know, he didn't want to pick me up. He didn't want to do any of that. And I didn't have a car or a license at this point in time. You know, I had a learner's permit, but I didn't have a car or an actual license. So I was really just depending on him to pick me up and bring me home, and he just didn't want to. Sometimes he just didn't feel like it. And at this point in time, after I got out of Job Corps, he had moved me to Olathe, Kansas. Oh, bless me. He had moved me to Olathe, Kansas, so I'm originally from here in Wichita. But, I mean, I ended up growing up in El Dorado, Kansas. And he moved me away from there, essentially away from all my family and friends. And so, really, when he moved me to Olathe is when he really started shedding the mask just a little bit more. And it was, because he had moved to Olathe while I was in Job Corps. And that's when it slowly started peeling away, and he slowly started turning into this different person who I just didn't recognize. You know, when he first cheated on me, he was so sorry, but as it progressed further and further on, he just became less and less sorry. And everything, like, we moved into our own place, I want to say, end of 2016, we finally moved into our own place, so we lived with his parents, and so, end of 2016, we moved into our own place, and I was still working as a CNA, and it was, and this tells you, because if I got out of Job Corps in September of 2016, we were there for like a month or so before I moved out. September, October. No, we moved out in October. So I got done in September, and we moved into our own place in October. And so, it was insane. So I was working as a CNA at the time, and it got so bad because it was like, one day he was just like, I'm hungry. Are you gonna, like, because I called him, I was like, hey, are you here yet? And he's like, no, I'll be there like in an hour, you know, but I'm hungry, could you make food? I'm like, I just worked a 12-hour shift, and they're asking me if I can work overtime for a little bit, and I'm about to tell them yes, so I'm going to be working 13 hours, so no, I'm not going to cook tonight. Like, we can go order something somewhere, but my feet hurt, I'm tired, I do not want to cook right now. And, mind you, I went from 97 pounds to 170 in, like, just a span of a few months, it seems like. Because in Job Corps, I was still a very skinny person. And my now husband, he was this big, muscular Asian guy. And I was like, they partnered us up in a few things. That's a story for another time, because, it's a little insane. But, I was like, no, I can't. I can't do it tonight. And he's like, but please, I'm really hungry. And I'm like, fine. So I get off of this now 13-hour shift, and he's like, I go, what do you want to eat? And he goes, I really want spaghetti. And he didn't decide to tell me until after I did this that he didn't like spaghetti, even though that's what he asked for. And so I was like, we don't have any pots. So I figured out how to make spaghetti in a pan. And then after it was done, and I put on a plate for him, he was like, oh, I'm not hungry anymore. I don't want this. If I get hungry again, I'll find something else. I'm like, I just did a 13-hour shift. You asked me to make this specifically for you. You are going to eat it, because I literally just, and I'm not that kind of a person. I don't normally do that, but it was just, I was so done that day. And it was just, and I'm not going to say I'm a completely innocent person. Like, I definitely yelled. I yelled a lot. But it was definitely, I didn't yell when I wasn't instigated, I guess you could say. So he got to, I don't know, to this point, he was just like, after this day, it was more and more of, oh, it's not how my mom makes it. Oh, my mom makes it better. Oh, you're not doing it the way my mom does. My mom. I'm like, well, you're not with your mom now, are you? Like, if you want your mom, you can go date your mom. I don't know. I don't care. Whatever weird relationship you're in, you go for it. Leave me out of it. I got a little sassy. But then I turned 21, and he was like, can you buy me alcohol? Can you do this? Can you do that? I'm 6 months older than him. So he wasn't 21 yet. And I was like, no, I always said I wasn't going to drink. And I know I'm 21 now, but drinking, I told myself I was never going to do. And so that means I'm not going to go out and buy alcohol. So I'm sorry. And he goes, you're no fun. Just wait till I turn 21. And so when he turned 21, of course, he became an alcoholic, like, almost right out the gate. So he became an alcoholic, and it progressed. So we moved towards the end of 2017 into our final apartment together, because we broke up towards the middle of 2019. So I think it was like June or July we broke up in 2019. So we moved into our final apartment towards the end of 2017. And of course, we renewed our lease. And it got worse. It got so much worse. It was, oh, my mom would never do that. Or, like, the Valentine's Day, like, even in the apartment previously, he didn't want to celebrate with me. I mean, we never made any Valentine's Day plans. And, we ended up actually going to Freddy's 2017 because literally no plans. I'm the one who planned everything that day, the day of. Because I was like, I want to do something for Valentine's Day. We don't ever do anything for Valentine's Day. So we ended up going, and I ended up crying a lot that day. And then in 2018, I spent Valentine's Day, I cooked, I did everything, and he's like, my mom does better. So I spent that Valentine's Day crying in a closet because he was like, you're never going to be able to do what my mom does. And I'm like, okay, first off. But, I keep bringing up this mom thing, but it was also like, why are you trying to do any of this? You're never going to be as good as this person, or you're never going to make it to that. Especially when I started college and I started taking Japanese classes, because I've been trying to learn Japanese for like the longest time, and learning by myself obviously wasn't working. And so he's like, I don't know why you're doing that. You're never going to go to Japan. I mean, you're not going to amount to anything, so I don't even know why you're going to college right now. And I'm like, huh. And so I kind of just had to, like, grin and bear it, and kind of just continue anyway. And so finally, and that was in 2018. So, and I think I started yeah, I started college, I want to say August of 2018. August of 2018, I started college. And he made it so difficult, but I would go to school every day, and people would, like, ask me out, and I'd be like, oh, no, I'm engaged to the most wonderful man that you could ever meet. That's how I would describe him still. But it was just a lie. It was a huge lie. And when I worked at Walmart for a time before this, and I would tell them about, like, some of my coworkers who I thought were friends about some of the things he did, and they just would not believe me. They're like, oh, no, don't break up with him. He's the nicest, sweetest guy I've ever met. He's so nice to me. I mean, I don't believe you when you say he does all these terrible things. Your relationship must be heaven with him. And I'm just like, and during that time, I was still putting makeup on. I was still dressing to go out. And I just stopped talking to people about it. Because it just seemed like every time I told anyone about this stuff that was happening, no one would believe me. And it would just get worse. And sometimes the fights would get physical towards the end of our relationship. It real bad. He'd walk out, slam the door, do all this thing, go to his parents' house, leave beer bottles everywhere. I became an alcoholic at this point in time. Funny, coming from someone who said they were never going to drink. I became an alcoholic. I put on a lot of weight. I went from 97 pounds to 170. I'm still not down to, my original weight. I'm not planning to be 97 pounds again. I mean, I would love to be 97 pounds again, but I think 120 is a great marker. 120, 110. 110 is the final destination. But so I just stopped talking to people because no one believed me. And it got to the point where I'm like looking at this bottle of Advil, and I was like, the recommended dose is you can't go past 8 capsules in a day. But what if I took a handful? It's like little green desserts. I just do it. And whatever medication we had in the cabinets, I could just, right now, so no one's gonna care. And he had rope ties in the back of his truck because he'd sometimes, haul stuff for people. He was a wannabe cowboy who lived in the city. So he got himself a truck with LED lights. Because, of course, you definitely need that in the middle of a city. I was like, I could just go get one out of his truck. Tie one into the balcony and the other just around my neck and just hop over. No one's gonna care. My death is gonna be in the newspaper and no one's gonna even grieve. I mean, my boyfriend is probably gonna be like, huh. No one's gonna care. What does my life mean anyway? I mean, I spent my adult life being almost a prostitute trying to get off the streets. You know, I've made decisions that brought me here. Like, I should just give up. Go. No one's gonna care. But the thing that really stopped me was like, it's gonna get better. I'm gonna get out of this whole ordeal, and it's gonna be tomorrow or next week, next month, next year. I don't know. And so finally, towards the middle of 2019 was when I was like, look, because you cheated on me again. And I was like, look, you're not going to stop cheating. I've come to this realization. You're not going to stop cheating. So instead of trying to hide the cheating behind my back, how about I openly let you do it for 2 weeks? We'll make this into an open relationship. But the thing is that I get to do it too. And I mean, I'm probably not going to do it nearly as much as you, but for 2 weeks, let's just have an open relationship. And then at the end of the 2 weeks, we'll decide if we want to keep it monogamous or we want to keep it as an open relationship, or if we're just done. And so those 2 weeks, he was mad. He was so mad. I had a guy friend who was all about that. Yes, we slept together. We had a friends with benefits kind of thing going on. And he was mad. He was like, you know what? I'm going to close this open relationship right now. We'll just make it monogamous again. I'm like, you're just mad because you're not sleeping with anyone. And he goes, so you shouldn't be sleeping with anyone right now anyway, because you're with me. I never gave you permission to go out and do that. And I'm like, we literally just agreed on that like a week ago. And he was so mad. And at this point, he was sitting on the couch. I was sitting in the bedroom. And so he finally did sleep with someone. And she was, oh my, she was planning their whole future. She was incredibly dumb. Sorry to say. But she was almost just as abusive as he was. Like, she'd eat my food. I'm like, okay, you guys can have anything in the fridge and in the cabinets. Just leave the freezer alone. That is my food. She went and ate my food out of the freezer. I had that apartment spotless. She made it super dirty in like 5 minutes. I'm like, you don't even live here. Like, how the hell did you do that? And she was only supposed to be there for one night. She ended up staying there for almost the 2 weeks. Almost 2 weeks. And she had, and eventually, like, she was gone one day and I was leaving for class. And it was like, the 2 weeks are over. I looked at my ex and I was like, you wanna just break up? And I said it just like that. You wanna just break up? And he goes, yeah, sure. We'll hurry up. Go for it. And I'm not gonna lie, I went to school that day and I cried walking down the hallway. And I don't think it was because I was gonna miss him. I think it was because I was no longer in a relationship. And I had never broken up with any of my exes before. Mind you, he was like the third guy I dated. And during this time, like, she had just gotten in there and she was trying to get me kicked out and all this other stuff. I'm like, I'm on the lease. You legally cannot kick me out. And so I moved out into my own apartment, that apartment flooded. I mean, he was on me. Like, everywhere I went, he was like, where are you? And he would stalk me and try to figure out where I was. And so I moved in with a roommate, and she kind of eased things a little bit. But when I lived in my own apartment before I moved in with roommates, when Scott started messaging me again, and I was like, oh, hi. You know. And he was kind of slow. You know, I was like, oh, no, I get it. If you can't make it on here, like, I don't always check my messenger messages. You can have my number. And as I just sent him my number, and he texted me right away on it. And so then I moved in with my roommate, and she kind of helped ease everything, because he still found out where I lived at that point, and did not like the fact that I was with somebody else. And when I went to get my stuff, like, he cornered me, was trying to make out with me. So I went back to the car and put some stuff up in my car, and I called Scott, and I was like, hey, look, my ex is trying to make out with me right now. I just need you on the phone, and then maybe he'll back off since you're on the phone. And he goes, okay. And so I went back up. Scott was on the phone. He tried to make out with me again, and I was like, look, my boyfriend is on the phone right now. You can hear him. Like, and he's like, I don't care. You're mine. I don't care about some other guy. You're mine. You're my girl. I'm like, no, I'm not. We broke up, so I ended up leaving, and so I left, and I called Scott, and I was like, hey, look, you're coming up this weekend. Could you help me move the rest of my stuff? And he goes, okay, yeah, I'll help. And he did not want to go in because my ex, he did not want a confrontation at all. Luckily, when we went there, though, he was at work, I assume. I assume he was working. And so Scott helped me get the rest of my stuff. And I left. I thought I had more stuff, but I guess he threw it away. I don't know. So I ended up kind of having all that stuff in my car still. And living in the apartment with my roommate. And then I ended up, moving down with Scott. But it wasn't fixed right away. Because Scott still had to deal with the trauma. I had to learn to love myself and really be like, the things you did are what got you here. You have to learn to love yourself before anyone else can love you. And so that's what I had to learn before I even got with Scott. And so this is where we are. So I am now. Met a group of strangers who are no longer strangers, who are the most incredible people I've ever met in my entire life. They are mentors to me. They have helped me to establish my business and really just get me to where it is that I need to go and act the way I need to act. They've helped me to become more confident. Like, if you see my video that I made like a year ago to now, I mean, I'm sure you could tell the difference. I really just, and I cannot imagine my life without them. Vasil, Desi, Marianne, Tier, Darren, I can't imagine where I'd be right now without them. It's been the most incredible experience. I have found more support from strangers than I ever have with anyone I've known personally. Scott was the first guy who actually really showed that he cared and that he wasn't going to do what my ex did. you know. And not all men are the same. I was never that girl. I wasn't after him. I wasn't like, yeah, I'm not gonna get in another relationship ever again because all men are cheaters. No, no. And all men are abusive. No, I was not like that. But yeah. Hopefully this isn't too bad. My noodles are probably soaked all the way through. Let me see. There's no more water in there, that's for sure. So, yeah, I'm not going to enjoy these noodles, but, I mean, I'm going to eat them because I'm hungry. But with that being said, I have another story to share, and that's about my friend who passed. And I know I've talked about it on this channel before, but I think I'm finally ready to give out more details and how it was that I felt during that time. So I love you guys. Mwah! I will see you in the next one. Remember to invest in yourself because you are the very best person you could ever invest in. Remember to invest in stocks, gold, silver, real estate, all that fun stuff. I love you. Mwah! I'll see you next one.